Hello and welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Bo Brock. Pre-record again on this football bye week Friday, Bo. But that doesn't mean the buck stops, as we've got a loaded show talking about the quarterback position for the Arizona Cardinals.
No doubt about it. A little pre-recorded cutie for all of you. We appreciate you tuning in on a Friday afternoon or whenever you're watching. Save those super chats. We'll be back live on Monday, just trying to take advantage of a little bit of bye week. And then Cardinals are back in action come Monday morning. They're gonna be back on the practice field throughout the week, gearing up for Monday Night Football. PHNX Cardinals presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the code PHNX365. Deposit $10. Place a bet for $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Johnny, I know I'm going to be utilizing that this weekend.
Yes, sir.
With the cards off, Bet365 has some real tasty bets and numbers up on the board. You got to check it out. Just download the app. Use the code PHNX365.
Cardinals can't hurt you, so don't hurt your wallet. Make some money with our friends at Bet365. Cardinals back on the practice field, as you mentioned, Bo, early next week. And we assume we're going to get a fully participant Kyler Murray. Be anxious to see if he has any kind of injury designation. We've had a plethora of guests on since Murray's absence, from Kurt Warner, Brian Baldinger, Adam Hogue. And I think the consensus right now is, it's just looked better and more efficient with Jacoby Brissett. But at the same time, I have come around to the notion that these are 10 games where everything is under a microscope. Kyler Murray needs to play, right? Now, I'm very much of the mindset, I don't want to see the Petzing Kyler Murray offense.
Right.
So if they've used this time for some self-awareness and some soul searching, let's let Kyler Murray do some things that Jacoby's done. Let's let Kyler Murray be himself with his legs. Let's encourage minimal checkdowns. I'm on board for all that, but you got to sway me. We have to see with our eyes, because then it becomes a larger conversation. If the Cardinals don't turn this around, if Kyler Murray isn't, emphatic with his return, and he's going to have a bevy of weapons to work with, that puts everything in flux beyond this year, including the quarterback room for 2026.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I think people are expecting much of the same first 5 weeks of the season as far as what the offense will look like. If Kyler Murray can kind of flip that narrative, and put the pressure on the organization to make a really tough decision and have that conversation, that bodes well for the 2025 Cardinals quarterback room, right? That you've got somebody in Jacoby Brissett that you saw in 2 games be able to elevate this offense. Now, can Kyler Murray do what Drew Petzing did after I asked him, can the offense look similar with Kyler Murray running the same offense? He's going to have to prove that starting Monday night against the Dallas Cowboys. And throw some mud into that water, murky things up, and kind of take back clarity. Even though, I think there's a ton of the fan base that's it's been 7 years. Start of this year was just a continuation of last year. We know what he is at this point. Kyler Murray's opportunity here now becomes to change that in the next final 10 games.
It's crazy. Let's assume that these final 10 games don't go well for anybody, right? And
right.
Austin Ford may be gone. Gannon could be gone, as we talked about yesterday with our guy Adam Hogue. Kyler Murray would be the last man standing, at least momentarily, because if they're going to part with, and I find this part sad and fascinating at the same time, if everybody gets fired on Black Monday, Kyler Murray's still on the team. So I don't know if they would go through the GM head coaching interviews and talk about obviously the long-term vision of this quarterback position, but if you and I are at an opening press conference for the new regime, they're going to be asked about Kyler Murray, and I'm guessing they would have to give a very political answer. pertaining to him, because you don't want to tank his trade value. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're boxing yourself in. So I think that part is going to be interesting, even though, like, I think the writing would be on the wall, as Benjamin Albright pointed out a couple of weeks ago. Like, they would trade him either before or after the start of the new year. Maybe it would get done parameter-based early in mid to late February, potentially. But, like, I think that part of it is fascinating, just from the fact that, like, he could outlive another regime, at least temporarily. And then, like, Jacoby Brissett is on a 2-year deal, but he was a Petzing JG guy, and Amani. Yeah. The shelf life for this regime and this quarterback room specifically, we're in a month-to-month kind of deal where, like, this time next year, everything could be different.
Right. And it becomes tricky as far as creating leverage, right? As far as if you are looking to deal him. But, like, we know there's too many, the supply-demand part of this, we're already starting to forecast it. There's going to be too many quarterback-needy teams and too few quarterbacks. So Kyler Murray will hold value, and it's going to be in the eye of the beholder as far as what they want to do and how aggressive they want to get after Kyler Murray. And, like, there's still teams out there, and it could be, entering new regime, and it still will pump the brakes on that because there's a long way between now and then. But if it does happen, that it more likely than not is not going to be, hey, what are you going to do to elevate and put Kyler Murray in a position to be a franchise quarterback? That's what Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon's, like, one of their top tasks was. And unfortunately, like, we've seen how it's kind of transpired, and it hasn't elevated to the point where they're, back in the playoffs and relevant and in contention. So, like, I think the organization is going to avoid a third go around as far as that goes. And it would just kind of be like Kyler Murray's a bit of a kind of a placeholder until the new league year and until it becomes, easier to deal when the time would come to pull off that trade or whatever their plans would be.
You would have to, assuming, like, we're going under the assumption, like, that things go poorly the next 10 weeks, right? Like, we're not. I know there are going to be some people out there that are very much in the corner of Kyler Murray, and I think you and I are in that camp as well, certainly. But, like, we're talking, like, hypothetically, if this season continues to go down the trajectory it's on, the Cardinals have the toughest strength of schedule remaining. Like, Gannon and Ossenfort being subsequently relieved of their duties would be a precursor to a Kyler Murray trade. Like, I think that would go without saying. I would be shocked if a new regime came in and Kyler Murray was the starter in 2026. I think that is, especially considering where they'd be picking in the draft and an opportunity to add a young quarterback. It's a roll of the dice, I know. And then I also couple it with the fact, I think it's worth pointing out, we've talked about it, given the fact that, like, the Tua situation, his contract just kicked in. I mean, Kyler Murray, his base salary, I believe in 2026 is $53 million with minimal dead money associated beyond next season. So really, it's basically a 1-year deal for whomever were to take him on in 2026. And I don't know if the Cardinals could defer some of the money, if they could eat some of the money, but, like, it's a very quarterback friendly deal if he were to be traded for one season. And then if you're a team and you like what you see and things go well, you have some additional years in 2027, 2028, where the number goes back down, I think, to like 43, 46 million. And you leave your window open. So it's almost kind of the ultimate quarterback contract to trade, because it's like, this can be a 1-year deal or a 3-year deal. It's not over 50 million. It's not over 60 million like Brock Purdy. I think it will be very attractive. And I think you could sell that to the eventual new GM, if there is one, and head coach. Like, Kyler Murray's an asset, just not for us anymore, because our timeline has shifted. Mm-hmm. He's an asset for somebody else that you can use to go up and get a quarterback eventually. Like, I think all of that would be appealing. Like, if you're a GM worth your salt, and it's like, okay, everybody knows the timeline we're on now. We're in new quarterback mode with a Sam Levitt or whomever. Let's get an asset via Kyler Murray to a team like Minnesota, who feels like they're a player of Kyler Murray's caliber away from winning.
Yeah. I mean, it's always that giant leap of faith. We saw, even as it's, with hindsight being 2020, John Schneider and Mike McDonald look like geniuses, right? And they send Gino packing and they send their OC packing, which is, it's going to look different, but it's going to be the same. But like you have to get those, following moves, those corresponding moves correct, right? Especially with like when we talked to Kurt Warner about this a couple weeks ago, says it's scary to move off of Kyler Murray because how often do we see it? I mean, it's a story told as old as the league, right? That, he could go a change of scenery. We know the skill set and he could have an immense success. And you're right. Like when he's making as that quarterback contract, people like to, shake their fist at it. It's aged pretty well. Like Kyler Murray is like the 12th highest paid NFL player in the league right now.
Contract hasn't been a detriment at all.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. It hasn't hindered Monty Ossenfort's ability to do anything. So, and as far as what the team that would acquire him, like they probably wouldn't have to pick up the bill on that for the most part. So yeah, it is very attractive, but a lot has to happen between now and then. And, I think Kyler Murray is going to make his case. He's going to try to make his case to remain in the desert. I can't imagine things have gone so far south. I'm sure he's got a lot of confidence that he can get it done. And, we're not far removed from when we're talking to Kevin Murray and his dad. And like, he wants to pay back this community and kiss the trophy. And I know at 2-5, people roll their eyes at that, but he's got to play good football for so many reasons. And, I'm sure he's got, he wants to just kind of change the way that he's played this season and the perception of that. Plus, whether his future's here or elsewhere, I mean, you got to put good football on tape. It's so important in this league. It's what have you done for me lately? So there's so much going into it, including, the prospect of a quarterback in the draft for the Arizona Cardinals. And our guy, Fran Duffy, is going to give us the absolute best insight. Nobody's ahead of this as much as Fran is. His draft guide dropped at gophnx.com, and he's already got, his draft guide up and running with some real nice tasty nuggets about this quarterback class, Johnny.
Yeah, we got Fran joining us right around the corner. It's a two-parter. We're going to be talking about the Cardinals rookie class this year and of years prior. And in hindsight, what would they do differently? And, of course, the upcoming 2026 quarterback class. That's coming up around the corner. It's PHNX. But first, 'tis the season for over $80 million in prizes. I like the sound of that. Play holiday tickets from the Arizona Lottery for the chance to fill your stocking with cold, hard cash. There are 6 festive scratchers to choose from, including the cash countdown. That's my favorite, which prizes are up to $250,000 in the candy cane cash, which actually smells like peppermint when you scratch it off, Bo. Plus, you can dash to instant prizes with holiday fast play tickets. When it comes to holiday gifts, holiday scratchers are the best place to start. I love those. When they're jammed into my stocking, I go nuts on Christmas morning. You can too. Whether it's a white elephant exchange, stocking stuffer, or just a little chance to get your gift that could be worth millions, love, play, and spread the holiday cheer with holiday scratchers from the Arizona Lottery. Play and gift today. You got to be 21 years and older to participate, Bo.
Love that from Arizona Lottery. Great to be partnered back up with them. Also, check out this hoodie, Mack Weldon. Love all my Mack Weldon gear, from, of course, the hoodies, the pants, to the skivvies. Unmatched as far as the underwear goes. You got to check into their cool technology, their Cool Max technology. It's for button-up shirts and shorts crafted with that light linen blend. Cool Max technology is great for so many of their apparel and clothing that you're going to want to wear to the gym, that you can wear out on a night on the town. You can wear to work, or you got a conference, or you got a big meeting. Mack Weldon's got the gear for you. Check them out right now. They are breathable clothes that feel comfortable in any season. Check it out, MackWeldon.com. Get 25% off your first order for $125 or more with the promo code PHNX. That's right, 25% off just by being a viewer or a listener of PHNX. Go to MackWeldon.com. Use the promo code PHNX. You're not going to regret it. Just really bolster your wardrobe with Mack Weldon, MackWeldon.com.
Well, it may not be peak draft season, but the Arizona Cardinals at 2-5. We had to put up the bat signal. Johnny Venerable Bo Brock here on PHNX Cardinals podcast with our guy Fran Duffy, NFL Draft Insider, Analyst Extraordinaire. And Fran, Cardinals are trending toward a top 10 pick We're going to table that real quick at the top of this discussion. We want to quickly touch on this rookie class for the Arizona Cardinals. Fran, that's been a little bit of a mixed bag, beginning first with Walter Nolen, who we have not seen play since the better part of his collegiate career at Ole Miss.
Yeah, and you guys know that I was a big fan of Walter Nolen coming into this season and what my expectations were of him coming out of college. I think that he could be a game wrecker as an interior defensive lineman. And so, this is just it's been a recurring theme with the Cardinals with these defensive linemen in that first year, sometimes leading into the second year. So hopefully we can see Nolen on the field sooner rather than later.
I mean, what could fans expect? We're expecting Nolen potentially to return Monday Night Football in Week 9 against the Dallas Cowboys. It's a good offensive line. It's well coached. We know that Clayton Adams making the move from this staff to that staff. But if Walter Nolen comes back in a capacity playing just maybe about 25 to 30% of the snaps, this is a team that can't get off the field in the fourth quarter. Could Walter Nolen benefit? Could he provide a little bit of juice, you think?
No question. I think the big thing will ultimately come down to how much, what's the football shape look like here for Walter Nolen? Like, we're going through this right now in Philadelphia where Brandon Graham, he's basically, coming off the couch and back into the NFL.
Your colleague.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. Our all-city coworker. But Vic Fangio spoke this week and said, yeah, there's football shape, and then there's also like contact shape. And so, look, Walter Nolen can go through bag drills, he can go through practice, but he hasn't gone through full contact now in 8 months, 10 months, and so that'll be very interesting to see how long it takes him to get up to speed. What can Cardinals fans expect? They can expect a guy that's going to be one of the best disruptors, that has the ability to be one of the best disruptors in the league from the interior, but it's a matter of how long it takes him to meet that upside.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see him. Darius Robinson has really had a tough go of it dating back to last year, and Cardinal fans have deja vu now with Walter Nolen. And it almost felt like, Fran, like we saw Walter at training camp and he was moving around well, even with, the hamstring injury. It almost felt like the Cardinals tried to mitigate the risk, maybe after like PTSD would happen to Darius last year. And while like defensive tackle hasn't been like a huge need, like this makeup, talk to our audience about like the Jonathan Gannon defense is so predicated on these young athletic defensive tackles. Not having them is such a detriment to what they want to do.
And honestly, it's not even just a Jonathan Gannon thing. It's just like every defense, you'd love to be able to have guys that can create quick pressure on the quarterback, create instant disruption in the run game. And so if you're able to insert that type of presence, that is so helpful to everything you're trying to do as a defensive play caller and as a game planner. And so, yeah, if you can get Walter Nolen up to speed and get what you were hoping you got when you took him in the top 15 back this spring, that's a huge boost to a defense that could just use a shot in the arm, right? Just kind of try and find that playmaking dimension from anywhere along the front.
A boost to the secondary has been Will Johnson. He was 47th overall pick. Obviously, It was a topic that we covered heavily. His slide in the draft, projected top 15 to 20 pick. He goes 47th overall and comes out of the gates. He looks incredible. Had a pick that was nullified by a flag away from the play against the Saints. He's got 5 pass breakups in 2 games. Then he suffers kind of the groin injury. He misses 2 weeks. And then the last 2 weeks, it's been just kind of an overall position nitpicking a little bit from the coaching staff, saying they like what's going up as far as the rush aspect, but the cover could be better between Max Melton and I would assume, Will's thrown in that. What have you seen from Will Johnson in his first season here at the pro level?
Yeah, I think we're seeing, look, the flashes that had people excited about him being a top 20 type talent, at this time last year. If you told anybody that Will Johnson was going to be the 47th pick as we were sitting here on October 23rd, 2024, people said that would be crazy. And so I think that we've seen the flashes, certainly. I will say, like, the soft tissue stuff, like that can be a little bit of a slow burn, especially for young players that, they go through the pre-draft process. So it's always a long offseason for those rookies coming in. And so that you can see them hit the rookie wall, especially when you have that kind of soft tissue thing working against you. And so hoping that we can start to see what Will Johnson, like at his peak, as we get into the meat of the schedule here in the second half.
Yeah, you think about, the metrics point to somebody that the Cardinals feel like can be a number 1 corner in this league. We talked about the shelf life with his knee, which, knock on wood, to this point has not hampered him in the slightest. he was so prolific at taking the football away, at Michigan. And you look at the Cardinals right now, Fran, they have no interceptions by their quarterbacks this year. And it goes to a lot of what we've spoken about. Like they're playing a very passive approach right now.
Yep.
When do you think is the proper time to kind of unleash Will Johnson for a team that needs every spark defensively?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to try and gauge the short-term versus long-term gains, right? And you don't want to have any kind of setback there from a soft tissue standpoint. And there are times where because everything I've heard about Will Johnson is like, this is a guy that wants to be out there, that wants to be contributing. He wants to be the focal point of the defense, and he's going to do everything he can to get back out there. But you also want to kind of save guys from themselves at these points as well, especially again when you're dealing with something that can be a nagging injury for a position where like athleticism, you kind of need that ability. The groins can be especially tough for the cornerback spot. So I do think that it's going to be a player by player thing, a situation by situation thing. And I'm sure that they're trying to be judicious to try and make sure that, hey, we want the best version of Will Johnson in the second half of the season, but playing in week 7, playing in week 6, playing in week 8, that's maybe not as important as making sure that we want to make sure that you don't have any kind of setbacks that's going to impact how you look in the second half of the year.
We know that the defensive scheme is built to create turnovers, but is that more based on, like, I remember, Gardner Johnson was the interception leader the final year JG was in Philly. Is it more conducive to playing slot corner and safety to getting your hands on the football, and the corners are more, because it seems they play a lot of off coverage in that zone heavy defense. Is it conducive to corners getting their hands on footballs?
It can be. I think that we saw that in that opening game, right, where he was able to kind of jump those kinds of routes. The opportunities are certainly there. We're seeing that here in Philadelphia as well with Quinyon Mitchell, where it's like, and he's had a couple that have like gone through his hands or bounced off his hands at times. So that you can get into like the finishing ability for a DB at times. But I think when you're looking at it, there are just, especially in today's game, teams are more willing to attack the middle of the field. And so when you might see more of your nickel corner or your safeties just be around the ball more often, just because those opportunities are going to be there on a more consistent basis. But I do think that Will Johnson, he's going to have his opportunities, especially when you're going up against some of the receivers that you face on that Arizona schedule.
Continuing on, Will, obviously the bell of the ball for this class right now, but it's early. Jordan Birch, who you were a big fan of, the Cardinals got. A lot of people thought he could have been a fringe second-round pick, goes at the tail end of the third round. And here's the best thing I can say about him. He's playing a lot, right? Yep. He doesn't have the gaudy numbers or the statistics, but he flashed in the preseason, had a couple of sacks, and now each and every week he's subbing in for Zaven Collins, Baron Browning. Where do you project him to be, like, best case scenario long term? Do you remember maybe like a pro comp or somebody comparable? Because this is a large man. This is somebody a lot of people thought could have been like a tweener D-tackle defensive end built off of that like power rush, capability.
Yeah, he was my 8th ranked edge by the time we got to the draft in the spring. And one of the things I had a projection that would kind of dictate as like a second or third pass rusher in a rotation, but like an impact type of player in that role. He was I want to say like a moldable ball of clay, where you saw the height, weight, speed, just kind of unrefined in terms of winning at the top of the rush and winning with his hands and his overall plan of attack against offensive tackles. And so that's why I think what we've seen so far is about what I expected. I think that he's going to have some high flashes. Really, the big thing with him is getting with the right coach or with the right vet and say, like, all right, like this is how you're going to have to tempo your rush. And this is how you're going to have to try and string moves together. And, you run things early on in a game to set things up for later on down the road. To me, gains like that typically aren't made with defensive linemen until you start to get into the second half of your first season, into year 2, and sometimes into year 3 and 4, where we don't see those guys put it together. But when you have like that height, weight, speed, you could still just be a wrecking ball off the edge. Mm-hmm. You get to 3rd and 8, like you can get out there and say like, hey, rookie, go get him, right? And I think that he's got that ability to make those kinds of flash plays. This is about exactly what I expected from Jordan Birch so far at this point in his career.
I want to ask you about a player that hasn't played a whole lot, at least on the defensive side of the football. As we know, the Cardinals took 6 out of 7 of their draft picks on that side of the ball. Yeah, primarily played teams, but the player in front of him has the fan base, the show clamoring like, can't be worse than Akeem Davis-Gaither, who has been a player that is, as advertised, a guy that's primarily a special teamer, part-time defender, but seems like he's been a liability. When we look at Cody Simon, when you go back to scouting him in the draft, what do you think is maybe making the coaching staff hesitate to think, hey, he can't go out there as a first-year player, even to maybe get some snaps in place of ADG?
Yeah, to me, when I studied Cody Simon, and I'm going through, and you guys know just from going through the draft guide, I'll color code strengths with blue, and I'll color code weaknesses, like defined weaknesses, in red. And right now, like looking at my report from last year on Cody Simon, and there are two reds that pop up. One is the play strength aspect, the ability to play through contact consistently. And then number two was the mental side of it. So just being able to like read and key and diagnose. There were times I thought he was a little bit too nosy. The angles weren't always great to the football. And I can tell you, like in a Jonathan Gannon, Nick Rallis type of defense, at that position specifically, they want you to be really keyed up when it comes to like see things clearly, make sure you're able to deal with contact, block attention, block destruction, that ability to play through contact on a consistent basis. I think when you're looking at Simon, there was a lot of faith that he could get there, but it just might take a little time, but he also would be able to play special teams in the meantime, right? And so it doesn't surprise me that it's been a little bit of a slow burn with him, just because those were the questions I had with him coming out of Ohio State last spring. So I think it would be more, all right, maybe like year two, where you can expect him to kind of have some kind of a role on the defensive side of the ball.
Quickly, Denzel Burke's played, a handful of games for the Arizona Cardinals, had to sub in. Cardinals had injuries early and often at corner this season. We had him on our show in the preseason. He said he was going to be playing outside. He has been. And listen, like we watched him during training camp. I think you look at like the physical capabilities are probably why he fell to the 5th round, probably why he stayed at Ohio State, as long as he did. I feel like he was at Ohio State for, 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But just from a schematic standpoint, a football acumen standpoint, I mean, this feels like a guy where 3rd, 4th corner, the back end of that room over time is just a really nice safety net for Jonathan Gannon.
No question. And that's kind of how I viewed Denzel Burke coming out was, all right, like low-end starter, high-end backup, maybe at best you're talking like a solid number 2 corner if he was able to completely hit on all cylinders his entire ceiling. But if not, I felt really good about his floor as a number 4 corner and like first guy off the bench type of situation. You're talking about his instincts in zone, his instincts in man. There were times where I thought he had just had trouble finishing on the football. The production wasn't always there. The ability to get off blocks on the perimeter, that's something I know I value. I know that staff values as well. So I think when you're looking at him, there were just inconsistencies last year. This is a guy that was talked about as a potential 1st or 2nd round pick going off of his junior tape. And so he just didn't have that huge senior year to really cement that status. But it does not shock me that this is the role that he has found so far early on. This is a guy I thought would definitely stick in the NFL. It was just a matter of, is he going to hit that ceiling or not?
The Oregon game was a tough one for him.
Right, no question.
And was brought up several times. One last question before we get to the 2026 draft guide, and we'll be talking about a certain position that's been, gone over the last 2 weeks for sure. But look, the 2023 class, I think, certainly is a success. Paris Johnson Jr. looks like he's doing really well at the left tackle spot. Garrett Williams, when he comes back, like really good, rock solid class. 2024 was the one that had high expectations, 12 picks in its entirety, 7 in the top 100, Fran. When we look at it, it's Marvin Harrison Jr., it's Darius Robinson, it's Max Melton. Then you've got those 4 third-rounders, Trey Benson, Isaiah Adams, Elijah Jones, Tip Ryman, who's lost for the season. When you look at this class now, how are you viewing it with the expectations that the Cardinals had for it being such a pivotal class?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, look, a lot of people are going to look right at Marvin Harrison Jr. to start things off just because of the expectations, right? You put the name and include that, you include the draft slot, and you're expecting him to come in and be one of the top players at the position in the NFL. And while it could be big shoes to fill, we know that the health of this passing game has not been great, right? And so I think that to me personally, as an outsider looking at it, I am giving it a little bit of grace there in terms of, all right, what will this look like in 2027 with Marvin Harrison Jr., whoever's throwing him the football and, and play calling and things of that nature. So I am fascinated to see him continue to develop. I've seen some good things from him this year. Was I expecting a little bit more to this point? Absolutely, but I don't think that we're throwing around the 4-letter B word with Marvin Harrison Jr. at this point. That's kind of how I view it outside looking in. I think when you look at the rest of that group, I was not the biggest on Darius Robinson. I didn't see quite the ceiling there. I thought he was versatile along the front, but I didn't see a consistent impact player. I know injuries have played a role in that one. As far as these third-round picks, though, I think when you're looking at it, like Tip Ryman, he's been a solid contributor when healthy in terms of, especially as a blocker. To me, I've liked what I've seen from him there. Isaiah Adams has had his moments, so I'm willing to let this play out a little bit with a number of these guys before I'm ready to say that whole group is a big disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, that was the draft class that had to have a big pop here for the Cardinals to have success, and it's not entirely on them, but I mean the fact that this team is 2-5, I mean, there's some correlations for sure. So. Yeah. Coaching, schematics, development. I mean, it's just something to put under a microscope. Fall feels like a great time to reset between back to school, busier routines, and shorter days. Finding time to cook for me, for my family, it can be tough. That's why I love Factor. They're chef-prepped, dietitian-approved meals that make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious, no matter how hectic this season gets, especially this holiday season, Bo. You're out shopping, you're out doing family activities, and it's like, I don't want to go home and make some 3-course meal. I want to do Factor. Eat smart at factormeals.com/PHNX50 for 50% off. That's PHNX50 off, and use that bonus code to get 50% off your first box. Plus, you get free breakfast, not for 1 month. How about 1 year? That's code PHNX50 off at factormeals.com, plus free breakfast. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers. If you have not tried Factor meals, again, you can choose from a wide selection of weekly meals, including premium seafood choices, salmon, shrimp. They've got Mediterranean. They've got food from China, Thailand, and more with their Asian-inspired meals. Check them out right now. Again, PHNX50 off with the code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchases.
Sun Devils had a big win last time they were on the gridiron. The Suns opened up their season with a big win on the hardwood, and guess who they're partnered up? They're friends over at Branded Bills. You can find great Suns hats, plus ASU, U of A, GCU, part of their campus collection. And how about these? PHNX, one of my favorite partnerships we have going on right now. And you can save. Yeah, Johnny's got that nice Arizona State flag logo. Branded Bills. You go out anywhere in the valley, wherever you may live, and you'll see Branded Bills, that BB on the side of all these hats. It's unbelievable. It's locally owned, and you can save. How about 10%, 15% off your first order? BBPHNX. That's the promo code at brandedbills.com. Trying to upgrade your brand, maybe your co-ed softball team, your kids' Little League team. Check it out. Snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies. Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. Save 15% at brandedbills.com by using the promo code BBPHNX at brandedbills.com.
Let's look at the 2026 class, and usually we'd be talking about edge rushers or maybe a guard, right, or a right tackle. We're gonna we'll pick your brain on all those positions. But as it stands right now, feels like barring something unforeseen, like the Cardinals are going to be in the quarterback market, whether it's the first round, second round, and they're trending toward a top 10 pick right now. We issued on our show yesterday, Fran, that ESPN's got them at like a 60+% chance to have a top 10 pick. Quarterback landscape, you are as consistent as they come with putting a grade on a guy, sticking with it, but letting the process play out. How many first-round quarterbacks do you think at the end of the day this class will net? Ballpark it.
Ballpark, maybe 2. I think because ultimately, here's the thing, right? I'm looking at my list right now, and by the way, become a diehard. You can get access to the draft guide. Mm-hmm. When I'm looking at it right now, I see in my top 5 quarterbacks that I've evaluated at this point, 3 of them are redshirt sophomores. One of them, in Fernando Mendoza, has another year of eligibility on top of it as well. And so, how many of these guys are going to enter? I was on with the Sun Devils guys talking about Sam Levitt. Like, to me, I like Sam Levitt. I have a starting grade on Sam Levitt. I really hope Sam Levitt goes back to school for at least 1 more year, if not 2. I want him to hit the ground running. And I honestly, I feel the same way about Lenore Sellers from South Carolina. The traits are awesome. The flashes are outstanding. but I want these guys to be able to soak up every ounce of eligibility as possible. Mendoza, at least, like even coming in, like, all right, he's got a little bit more in terms of like pelts on the wall in starting experience. But even with him, like I would love to see him go back for another year. So I'm fascinated to see how many of these guys do end up throwing their hat into the ring. One guy we know for sure is going to be Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback from LSU. And I think when you're looking at Nussmeier, it's a cloudy projection right now, guys. You know, to me, he's still my top quarter. He was my top quarterback in the summer. He was hampered by an injury in the first half of this year. He's been dealing with this oblique injury. He was dinged up with like a knee and ankle deal in the summer as well. So it's a matter of like, all right, like physically, he hasn't been at his best. He hasn't been at his peak. He's still making some of like the late game interceptions that you don't love. Me personally, like that's part of his superpower though. Like I like the gunslinger mentality with him. I've compared him in the past to Tony Romo. I'm not the only one to make that comparison, but I think that there's a lot of that to his game. So you're going to have some interceptions with him that come along with it. But I think he's one of the more well-rounded quarterbacks in this class. But I'm, like we love Dante Moore Jr. from Oregon. Like, I don't know. This is his first year starting. I can't imagine he's going to enter. Ty Simpson from Alabama. Everybody's excited. It's his first year starting. Like, I don't know if he's going to be in this class. And so I think when you're looking at a lot of it, we're not going to find out what this quarterback landscape is going to look like until we get to the end of December.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It's like, see Lenore Sellers, you like his skill set, then you look at the production. It's like, I know you've got a different comp, but like Anthony Richardson comes to mind. Back to Nussmeier, I see him. He's 6'1".
Yeah.
Is it a big 6'1"? No,
it's not. He's a shade over 6 foot. It's a shade right now. And we'll get the official, obviously, once we get to the offseason, but scouts had him a shade over 6 foot. It was like 6'125" this past spring.
Is there going to be a hand gate with Nussmeier too? I can't imagine.
There might be, but we've been down that road before. I don't think that the hand size is a big issue. He doesn't have like a cannon for an arm. He doesn't have a bad arm either, though. Like I think he's got. I would describe it as solid arm strength over. He can make every throw that you need.
Do you feel like this NIL factor is going to lead to more kids staying, and that's a detriment now? Not a detriment to the QB teams, but you say two, and I look at that. How many of these quarterbacks that I would take a flyer on, and it's like, oh yeah, you talk me into like 5 or 6 guys that I think could be like top 50 picks. I mean, like, how much of a factor is the NIL piece of this?
It absolutely is. And honestly, like, to me, because it was about a year ago at this time where I was like, yeah, like these guys absolutely should all be staying put. Because I think of Cam Ward, who was seen as a day 3 prospect last year, going into the 2024 season, leaving Washington State, and he almost entered the NFL, and he would have been a day 3 pick, like a Spencer Rattler. So Spencer Rattler goes, he ends up going and holds a clipboard in New Orleans last year, and he made under $1 million a year. Well, Cam Ward goes, he makes 4 times that, 3 times that down at Miami, plays his way into being a first-round pick and the number 1 overall pick. And so to me, like, I look at a lot of these guys, and I'm saying, like, all right, like the way that Sam Levitt, the way that he's going to win in the NFL, like I need him to be aces mentally. And so you're once you get into the NFL, that clock starts ticking, man. Like the patience for Bryce Young, the patience for Anthony Richardson, the patience for a lot of these guys, it wears thin faster than what the expectations would be, 4, 5, 6 years ago. So to me, like I think it would be best for all of these guys to soak up every ounce of eligibility that they have.
It gives me NBA draft vibes. It's like where you've got these tremendous prospects that just aren't anywhere close to being ready, but they're eligible, and you could get them, and they're making. I think it's the first round is kind of a separator still from NIL, even though it's closer than it's ever been.
Yep.
But the supply demand at the quarterback position, it would probably make these guys jump when they are far from ready. It's really a fascinating discussion. I don't want to reveal it because I want people to go to the draft guide, but the comp for Sam Levitt, I like it and I hate it at the same time. I don't want to reveal it. I just don't you feel like he's more athletic? Like, aren't they in different tiers as far as the athleticism?
I think that we have to remember the guy that I comped him to, he was pretty athletic when he was coming out.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was pretty athletic when he was coming out. Obviously, I mean, he's been in the league now for a decade plus. Yeah. So, he's not moving around the same way that he did when he was a young pup. But I think to me with Levitt, guys, I love his accuracy, like off platform, on platform. Like I really, really liked what I saw from Sam Levitt. So I'm and this was going back to the summer, like going off of 2024. I was really excited by what I saw from him, and it's been a little bit up and down this year, and he's dealt with some injuries and things like that. But I'm excited to dig into his film even more as we get into next offseason. Like, because I honestly don't think he's going to come out, but who knows? I could be wrong there, but I'm fascinated by what he could be down the road.
Yeah, I like the competitiveness, man.
Yes.
I just think, the TCU performance, this recent performance over the weekend, I'm curious. I'm sure you'll be watching on Saturday. They take on a feisty Houston team without Jordan Tyson, without having that safety valve. Like, how will he perform? But those are things, Fran, where it's like those are the analytics, not the analytics that you're looking at.
Yeah, and then honestly, like we should talk about Tyson too. Tyson is probably because I was lower, than consensus on him coming into the year. The drops issues. He's had a history of injuries going back to when he was at First Colorado, coming out of high school. But to me, the biggest thing I wanted to see from him was more consistency at the catch point. This guy's catching everything. He's been producing on a weekly basis, and I think when you combine like his toughness and competitiveness. He's one of the best route runners we've seen the last couple of years coming out in the draft. I don't think that he's like a top shelf athlete, but I think when you look around the landscape of the receivers that are coming into the league and making an impact, a lot of these guys aren't 4.3 guys or, outstanding like RAS testers. Like, to me, like if you told me he's Jackson Smith and Jigba, yeah, like I could see Jordan Tyson having that kind of a role in an NFL offense and finding a lot of success.
Yeah, he plays bigger than I think his measurables will indicate or not. Which leads me to a player that I thought kind of similar in one Cam Scattaboo this past offseason. And Fran, I'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about Scat. I know the ASU guys have given you grief on this. Against your precious Eagles a couple of weeks ago, 100 yards from scrimmage, 3 touchdowns. But in all seriousness, like what your evaluation of Scattaboo, better than you thought or about the same?
It's about what I expected. And it's kind of like, because I think to me, the conversation that we always had with Scat back in the spring was the evaluation. I think we were all on the same page about what the evaluation was on Scattaboo. And it was just a matter of like, what is the valuation? Like, well, where is he going to go in the draft? And he, to me, like, it's been about what I expected on both fronts. He's extremely competitive. We know about like the toughness and that ability to play downhill. Honestly, the Eagles are getting ready to play the Giants again. So I was watching that team again this morning. It was only one extra game, but watching him against Denver, like this guy is going to run behind his pads. He's going to pick up all the hidden, like dirty yardage through contact. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can block. Like, he does a little bit of everything. He's just not going to break away these huge runs. He's not going to he's not going to hit a ton of home runs. But I think when you're looking at him, he's exactly what I expected coming out of ASU.
Yeah, there was a pass pro rep that was not too great on a key interception that Jackson Dart had. But look, he's electric. He's brought juice to the Giants. Yes. I'm with you, Fran, as somebody who also takes a lot of flack for their takes on Cam Scattaboo. I'm with you. Last question, as far as this goes, you're so generous with your time. We know you're up against it. Just outside of the quarterback position, your ideal fit as it stands right now, October 24th for the Arizona Cardinals in the first round.
Outside of the quarterback position, I mean,
you had Carnell Tate before.
Yeah, had Carnell Tate, and to me, like you talk about Carnell Tate, you talk about Jordan Tyson. I think those guys certainly would be a fit there. I mean, you tell me, like, what's the temperature check offensive line wise? How we feeling at offensive tackle?
I think right tackle is definitely in play. I mean, right now, if you had to ask me, I think it's like best offensive player, just with the inconsistencies with this team. And, they used a first round pick. They've done, 2 of their last 3 have been defensive tackles. And they, we feel good about Will Johnson. Like, of course, if there's a premier defender there, you don't want to just dismiss it. But it feels like with the way this team is trending, they need an influx of offensive talent.
Yeah, the 2 of the top 3 tackles for me right now have played a lot of right tackles. Either Spencer Fano from Utah is my top-rated guy at this point. Really skilled pass protector. He's really tough. He's again like not a high shelf athlete, but he's to me like checks all the boxes. I really like Spencer Fano. And then Francis Mauigoa from Miami, a 3-year starter at right tackle. Again, a really skilled pass protector. Some people think he could be a guard, that he should be a guard. I think that he's perfectly fine staying out of tackle. So those would be 2 players that if you're looking for a right tackle only, those guys are experienced on that side, and to me like bring a level of stability to that position.
Love that. That's like watching Jonah Williams as a turnstile against Micah Parsons this past week. I mean, people they'd like to see somebody bookend with Paris Johnson Jr. going forward. You got to check out the 2026 draft guide. If you're one of those smart diehards and got your account, you're going to have it, during one of our sales. You're going to have it all the way through draft season, and you're going to get the tremendous coverage from Fran Duffy. If you haven't, you got to sign up today and get access to it. See that comp for Sam Levitt. See if it makes you pull your hair out, or if you agree. Plus all the great insight already on this 2026 class. Follow him on Twitter as well, at FDuffyNFL. Fran, thanks so much, man. Tremendous insight.
I appreciate it, guys. Also, make sure you don't even need to be a diehard. You can sign up for our new All NFL Draft newsletter. You can go. Right. I've got that out on social media as well. So you get a little bit of a taste of what my evaluations are on these players as well. So go sign up for that newsletter.
Thanks so much, friend. Probably going to talk to you pretty frequently here moving forward. Appreciate you, my guy.
My line's open, guys. We'll talk soon.
Great stuff from our guy, Fran Duffy. We're going to be bringing him on. He's going to be keeping us locked, loaded, and ready to go ahead of draft season. And unfortunately for the Arizona Cardinals, feels like draft season is on the horizon here. But we're going to be covering it right around the corner. Bo and I are going to be doing a mock draft with our friends at the PFF Mock Draft Simulator. Hit that like button. It's PHNX. I'll tell you what else season it is. It's Rally House season. They're the go-to spot to shop all your favorite local Arizona team gear with tens of thousands of products to shop from. And again, we're in Suns season, right? Suns are 1-0. Absolutely love to see that. Shop Suns merchandise, ASU, U of A, Tempe, Mesa, Glendale locations. Glendale is my personal favorite, right by the stadium. We're going to be doing more live hits, live shows from there. And if you haven't checked out Rally House for all your game day needs, what are you doing? They've got hats, jerseys, drinkware, signage, coolers, socks, even sunscreen, whatever you're looking for up to game day. Shop with our friends at Rally House. Again, they're only Arizona sports teams. It's absolutely loaded, wall to wall, cover to cover. Every time you visit a Rally House, you're guaranteed to find something new, unique, and matches your game day vibe. Find your local Rally House location. Shop their entire product assortment online, rallyhouse.com.
Rally House, unbelievable. Got my kid a Cardinals monster truck.
Ooh.
You're like, that doesn't exist. Yes, it does. At Rally House, they've got an unmatched, just a load of gear that you're going to find for your team. Everybody needs a checking account, right? I mean, Rally House can get a big chunk out of my checking account when we're shopping there. But look, My Style credit checking account with Mountain America Credit Union. It's going to fit your lifestyle. It's unreal because it gives you the perks that you deserve. It's not just about where you store your money and you're just going to sit there and pay a maintenance fee. Don't do that. Get the perks out of your checking account with Mountain America Credit Union. What type of perks? Well, I'm glad you asked. How about restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and so much more. Make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. That's macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by the NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no-cost registration activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Again, make Mountain America Credit Union's My Style checking account your lifestyle at macu.com/mystyle.
We're back here with a mock draft on a football Friday. And again, these are going to become the norm as long as the Arizona Cardinals remain in the top 10. I'm going to share my screen here as we get things kicked off, Bo. And, there are quarterbacks to be had, obviously, as Fran Duffy shared, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in the top 10. So I've got my screen pulled up. And again, thanks to the fine folks at Pro Football Focus. We love their simulators, although we might dabble on some simulators this draft season. And I think we're going to go, let's go 2 rounds. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, 2 rounds is great.
We're going to go 2 rounds here. Cardinals currently picking 9th. We're going to enter the draft. And again, last time we did this, our first mock draft, we ended up trading Kyler Murray, I believe, to the Raiders for 2 second-round picks. Do we want to holster Kyler Murray for this mock draft? What do you think?
Well, I want to get a little bit more interesting. So we see the top of the draft here. You've got the Jets, you've got the Dolphins, the Saints, the Titans, the Browns, the Raiders, as you mentioned. And those are some quarterback-hungry teams in front of the Cardinals. And we'd be hesitant because I don't think anybody's going to part ways with the top 10 team for Kyler Murray. But let's look down the draft board here, Johnny, and see if maybe we could get a first-round pick later in the draft. Do you see any potential spots there, or are those all accounted for?
It's funny. I forgot the Vikings don't have a first round pick this year. I'm looking right now. I don't see anything. I mean, maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would think, let's say Aaron Rodgers retires and they want to try to keep the good times going there in Pittsburgh. Let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's go pick 25 and let's go with Kyler Murray here. And of course, they're saying the trade will be accepted. And I do think like this is a move I could see the Steelers doing. Absolutely. Are you comfortable with this trade?
I'm comfortable with this trade. It loads us up. We would get 2 first rounders this year, including where are we picking in this draft? Top 10?
Yes, 9th overall.
So not only could you get a potential successor to Kyler Murray, but you could also get some help for him, whether it's offensive line help or playmaking help. Well,
all right, so the Cardinals now picking 9th and 25. I would like to just make both of these picks. I know maybe in a future mock we'll package them to go up if that's appropriate, but I'm looking at the Jets. I'm looking at the Dolphins, the Saints, the Browns, the Raiders. I mean, there's some quarterback needy teams here. So the Cardinals, we're going to start this draft, and the Cardinals are on the clock, Bo. How about this? Some good options, beginning first with our guy Fernando Mendoza falling in this draft. He's having a tremendous year out of the University of Indiana, 6'5", 225. He's a redshirt junior and could be en route, Bo, to a Heisman Trophy heading back to Indiana.
Yeah, looking at Indiana's like cupcake schedule the rest of the way. I mean, they should go undefeated. So how does this draft play out? Who quarterbacks went in front of these? So 1-1.
Yep.
You've got Bain Jr., the pass rusher out of the U, going to the Jets.
Typical Jets. Love the player. Don't love the pick there.
And then the Dolphins, with all their issues, they're going to go safety. They're going to go the talented safety out of Ohio State.
Also love Caleb Downs. Yes.
Right. Is it Woods from Clemson goes 3 to the Saints?
Yep.
So
George Tyson, local product, goes to Tennessee. That's a good pick, actually.
I do. I like that one. So and then Parker, another player out of Clemson, going to the Ravens. And of course, they're not going to go like quarterback or anything. So there's one quarterback off the board. Devontae Moore goes to the Raiders, and that feels like it could potentially happen. And then you've got the running back Jeremiah Love. Oh, Johnny, you would be devastated if they took a running back. The Giants did.
Maybe we could trade for Scatterboo. Maybe that's happened in the offseason already, and we just don't know it.
Look at it in the second round when we maybe you'll trade the second first round pick we acquired here for Scat, because you know his days are numbered. So who do we like? I think the way that one quarterback's gone off the board here, and the conversation we just had with Fran Duffy, the youth here, because you got a redshirt junior, 2 redshirt juniors here. And Mendoza and Ty Simpson. Just bring up the quarterback position if you wouldn't mind on the. Yeah,
I'm just gonna shoot my shot here. I like Mendoza more than Ty Simpson. I like both of them though. Listen, like Lenore Sellers, Sam Levitt. I like both of those guys. You can talk me into a lot. I like Mendoza's size for the position. And again, this is not like a reaction to Kyler Murray, but like I do think having a quarterback this size who can be as efficient as he is in the pocket, Cardinals really haven't had that since Carson Palmer. So that's appealing. That would be appealing for a big man to go into rainy Seattle. That would be appealing to offset, somebody like Brock Purdy. And then of course, whatever happens with Matthew Stafford. Like I think when you have a top 10 pick, Bo, and you've got a chance to take a guy in the top 10 that's got, when we think about it, very special physical traits, that is enticing to me. Our friends at Circle K, the meal deal matrix, $3, $4, and $5 meal deals. $5 in particular, that's my favorite. 2 slices of za, any 20-ounce soda or Polar Pop, up to 44 ounces, just $5. Plus, they've got these promotions going on drinks, 2 for $15 or 3 for $19 Coca-Cola packs of 12 or more. How about that? 12-pack Coca-Colas, 3 for $20. You go in any store, brick and mortar, it's not going to be able to beat those prices. They've also got 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Frosters. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com, Bo, for more details. Big thanks to our friends at Circle K. Join the Inner Circle. Download the app today.
I used to save 40 cents per gallon on both our family cars yesterday. It was unbelievable. Save big at the pump with Circle K, and of course, went and still save more at America's Thirst Shop just by being a member of the Inner Circle, which is free. Also, what's great, Hilo River Resorts and Casinos here in the Valley of the Sun, 4 legendary spots. You can just go, just take your entertainment levels to the next level. We love it. Wild Horse Pass, that's our preferred casino out there down the I-10 in Wild Horse Pass, and we're hanging out there usually on Cardinals away games. We're not going to be there for Monday Night Football, but we are going to be back there when the Cardinals hit the road to Seattle in a couple of weeks. Come join us, but you do you at Hilo River Resorts and Casinos, whether it's at Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Bequeva, Santan Mountain. Experience the best the Valley has to offer. 4,500 slots, table games, and of course, you got the sports books where you can win big in any of those areas. Check it out right now. Unprecedented level of entertainment and excitement that you're not going to find anywhere else in the desert. You do you, Hilo River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com. That's playathila.com for all the details. You know, he's not a statue. He's got some mobility. He's got 151 yards. Now, of course, you got sacks that come off the board for your yardage. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns, but just the ability to throw in the pocket. He's got 21 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for the Hoosiers. Now, like I said, you got to take their schedule into consideration here. 73.5 completion percentage.
I think
it's a good pick.
Yeah, he was good last year. I mean, he wasn't what he is now, but I also like the fact he's been on and off a college starter for multiple years. I worry about some of these one-year starters, Bo.
Yeah, and look at the adjusted completion percentage, completing 80% of the passes. They're in their advanced stats. Everybody's a risk here, but yeah. I do feel like with his traits and the fact that he fell to you, I actually like him more than Dante Moore. So if you're cool with it, let's pull. Well, head to head, like Mendoza had the better game. The only person I'm a little bit intrigued by, but I don't think you can do it at this stage, is Lenore Sellers. Where Sellers is, you're a little underwhelmed as far as the production. Look at the adjusted completion percentage for him, man, because overall he's got a 64% completion percentage. It means he's being kind of let down by some of his playmakers. But I think you go with more of the proven commodity here in Fernando Mendoza, because you have to hit here. You have to hit. And as much as I love the skill set from Sellers, let's go Mendoza. And then
coming back
at 25. Just go back to the quarterback room real quick. I want to see who because I see Ty Simpson remain there.
So it's still available here.
Same guys.
Just pull a Browns and double down. No,
but I don't think Mendoza makes it. I think Mendoza probably gets snatched up between.
Yeah, no doubt.
So let's go with let's see if the tackle remains that we talked to our guy for Fran Duffy about.
Yeah. I mean, there's the other there's 2 really good tackles from Utah. Gennings. Dunker from Iowa. If you haven't seen him play this year, I mean, he's a special pass blocker, and he's been a right tackle. You look at this, Bo. He's going to start for 3 years under Kirk Ferentz, the University of Iowa at right tackle.
Yeah,
Iowa tackles minimal, do not bust. He was one of the best players in the country last year. He could have been a first-round pick last year. I want playmakers. I want guys that ball out, but I think, you're encouraged by Michael Wilson, what he's doing right now. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Marv's got to take that next step. This is overwhelmingly, in my opinion, best player available that fits a need for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I agree. And then maybe with our second round pick, we look at some playmakers, or we look at the defensive side.
Coming back around, I think, again, this draft's fallen pretty well for the Cardinals. You've got a couple edge rushers. But then you've got Burks, the kid out of Oklahoma, who, he's not a PFF darling per se. And I also worry about his physical stature, 5'9", 190. But, right. I mean, he is electric with the ball in his hands, albeit in, a middling conference. Right now, for me, I would say not worth, in my opinion, the 41st overall pick. I think you just got to continue to go value here with the defensive lineman.
I don't even like Burks, who's ahead on the board here. I like Elijah's Sarratt, who's
reunite him.
Yeah, that's potential there. But I think what you've seen from the wide receivers the last 2 weeks, it's not necessarily like you don't really need too much urgency. And you get a guy that stands in the pocket and gives him a chance. Like Michael Wilson, shown that he can make plays.
You could also add a receiver in free agency. I'm good with that. Joshua Josephs, He's got 13 hurries, 5 sacks, had a really nice year for Tennessee. I remember thinking people thought he could have declared last year and likely didn't, I think in large part, Bo, because of how robust that edge rusher class was last year.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to benefit this year from coming out. He's on pace right now for double-digit sacks. Had a tough game against Alabama, but look, just absolutely dominated Georgia in a pivotal matchup at home in Tennessee. So, I mean, look at his 6'3", 240s, on a little bit on the lighter side, but the Cardinals have quality depth at this position where probably can roll him out as a situational pass rusher early. He's played a lot of college football.
Yeah.
I like
But he's not too old.
Right.
He's 21 right now, so that's he's a young senior. Kind of
I like the program. I think this draft, it's a very meat and potatoes draft in terms of need. You get a potential franchise quarterback, you get a potential franchise right tackle, and then you get a potential franchise edge rusher. I mean, those are the three. Let's put away the grades for a second. Those are the three most important positions, in my opinion, in the NFL. You got to get a quarterback, get somebody to protect yours, and get somebody to go after the opposing quarterback. Mendoza is going to be a top 10 pick. I don't know what PFF's doing here with they have him rated, super high on the PFF big board, but I don't think they maybe like the trade-off for Kyler Murray. But here's what we got to, emphasize. Cardinals are on a different timeline than the Steelers in this scenario. They're likely welcoming a new coach, a new GM. And so if they're if they like a quarterback when they're picking in the top 10, like that's the pick. I don't care what people think.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, it's the Billy Madison when he rambles on and he says, we're all now dumber.
Yeah.
Having listened to it, with the PFF awards us no points in that, said, may God have mercy on our souls for taking Fernando Mendoza where we did. But you only get to take Devontae Moore, and that's the only winning pick as far as that goes. Look,
I'm not
you're right.
too worried about.
Don't get bogged down by it. Don't get bogged down by it. So, I mean, I am going to send a strongly worded email to Trevor Sikkema.
Sure.
I like it. I do. I really do.
I like it because it's a clean. I mean, everybody's going to need a palate cleanser after this season if things go poorly. GM, coach, quarterback, like I think any combination of like bringing one or both or all back when you're losing, 10 plus games, those are tough optics. Big thanks to everybody making this a banner bye week. And again, it's a good kind of assessment of where this team is at. And yesterday we talked a lot about Jonathan Gannon, his place right now with this franchise. And today it was a lot about Kyler Murray and his place with this franchise. But I mean, the story is not, written in pen yet. I mean, they have an opportunity to kind of set their own path like they did before the season, but they have 10 games to do it. And Michael Bidwell needs to be able to sit back and say, like, with Kyler, Gannon, and Monty, this franchise is going in the right direction. But man, oh man, starting 2-5, you put yourself behind the 8 ball, everybody included.
Yeah, and look, a win against Dallas Monday night, people can scoff at that, but if it were to happen, and it's not something, Carolina was able to beat Dallas handily.
Yep.
It would really kind of start to change the perception. I think the bulk of this fan base, people who cover it, would view this team as. I mean, just winning one game would just go a long way. It would have gone a long way if they beat Green Bay. It would have gone a long way if they didn't suffer that catastrophic loss to the Tennessee Titans, which is a stain on this organization until further notice. And could be even if they were to get back on track. It was a devastating loss. So when you suffer losses like that, when you can't hold leads and it's heartbreak after heartbreak, it's tough to turn on these mics and talk about this team, in a completely positive light. I think that there are positive things like Trey McBride and, Paris Johnson Jr., and you're seeing some defensive performances you like, but overall as a whole, the team's not doing enough to win top to bottom. So, unfortunately, when we've got downtime, you look towards what this could lead to. And unfortunately, it would be change. And we don't want to see it, but you have to be realistic. If things continue as they are, it would be tough to avoid this type of collision course.
Bo's back on the practice field next week, and we're awaiting the activation of one Walter Nolen, potentially Garrett Williams. So reinforcements are coming. In the meantime, hit that like button. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Big thanks again to everybody behind the scenes, in front of the camera. Big week for our friends at PHNX Suns. So check out their pre, post, and watch-alongs all weekend long as the Suns are back in action. We're back in action. For Bo, I'm Johnny. We'll see you on Monday. Take care, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.